Mindenkivel.
Akkor most. Duma jön. Aztán Presley, mit szólsz ez? Idegenek a hajón.
Te arra kell rávenni, hogy ne itt az idegeneket, hanem... Tehát...
Humanity has always handled its own problems. Saren attacked one of our colonies. We should be the ones to stop him. We don't need their help.
Some people think asking for help is a sign of weakness. That's just being stupid and stubborn. No matter how strong you are, allies can make you stronger.
Már rábeszéltem, hogy ne
I guess so. Maybe I'm just stuck in the old ways of thinking. But don't worry, Commander, this won't be a problem.
Nem lesz ez probléma, azt mondja. Helyes, Presley.
Carry on, Presley.
Viszlát.
Yes, ma'am.
Nézzük Jokerre, mi a helyzet.
Nem is tudom, hogy ő mond-e valami újdonság. Még nem olyan bőbeszédű, mint a 2 meg a 3.
Gondolom előterjesztett egyre.
If they present you with a medal, you'll end up sitting on stage listening to politicians make speeches for a couple of hours.
That's a good point. They'd probably make me shave too. I spent the last 7 weeks working on this baby. No medal's worth that. So, Commander, why don't you tell me why you're here?
How's the Normandy performing? Is she everything they said she'd be?
She's the best ship in the fleet. If you've got a pilot who knows how to handle her. Balance isn't what you'd expect.
Miért vagyok itt valójában 6 is lá?
The Normandy's probably too much ship for your average.
I'll have to go.
All right, see you.
Nem érdekel még egyszer, Joker, ne haragudj. Megyek le. Megnézzük, mi a helyzet Liarával. Tényleg, csak Pazman benyomott neki egy jó kis antidepresszást. Szóval mondjuk csak Paznál. Na, azért megkérem ezt, hogy
yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
I should go.
Hát de nem mond semmi újat.
Kigyör a csákvá? Hát ő nem is fog, mert neki nincs több szövege.
Kéden, mi a helyzet?
A Liarával. Én most Liarával beszélek. Majd ott lesz bent a csákvá. Izé az orvosítól egy kicsit bentebb.
Ja, hát nem mentem.
Of course. Have a seat.
We've played it pretty close to the book so far, but we're a long way from backup. We've got some tough calls to make. I'm just saying, try to leave yourself a way out. I've seen what cutting corners can do, and I'd hate to have that happen to you, Shepard. Commander.
That's not the appropriate way to address your commanding officer, Lieutenant.
I wasn't speaking to you as my commanding officer, ma'am. I don't want to send any bad signals. Just, working on what I've picked up. You tell me if I'm too far.
Miért?
El akarsz szedni Kaden? Hát azért... Hát honálsz te hozzám, te tív. Hát én egy...
Várjál, majd akkor én is vigyázok. Mit mondod?
Talk to me, Caden. You got a little black rain cloud sitting over your head.
I'll try to keep the deck dry. You know the records about the biotic training out on Jump Zero? They're all classified, because the Alliance made mistakes. After first contact, Kinetics was set up to track Element Zero exposures and develop implants for humans. Once we had an embassy on the Citadel, Kinetics could bring in experts instead of taking it slow.
Is there some reason we couldn't learn it on our own?
They didn't know where to start. Hell, it took a couple of years to even link biotics and EZO. Forget trying to get the kids to move stuff. They had trouble just helping them not break their own limbs. And their choice of teachers didn't help much.
The only experts would have to be aliens.
Dead on. Turians, actually. That's why Kinetics kept it a secret. They were afraid of what people back home would think, asking the Turians for help when we just fought a war with them.
And the Asari would have been more acceptable than the Turians.
Yes, but the company didn't go through the Citadel. It would have made Earth look weak, so they discreetly hired some Turian mercenaries.
I'm sure Kinetics did what they thought was best.
It wasn't best for us. They brought in an ex-military Turian named Commander Vernus. To introduce himself, he liked to say, "I was at the helm of the dreadnought that killed your father." Well, I I told him my dad wasn't in the war. He'd retired to Vancouver. My family had an inland home that matured to new beachfront. Vernus had it in for me after that. He cut corners, pushed hard. I mean, you either came out a Superman or a wreck. A lot of kids snapped. A few died. The point of all of this, I guess, is that when you cut corners, it's not always obvious who pays for it.
So why are you telling me this? Is there something I can do to help you get over it?
I'm 32, Shepard. You don't serve as long as I have without coming to terms with yourself.
Jó, most Liorával
You also know
beszélgetek.
that if someone is special to you, you help them. Try to keep them from making mistakes.
Special, huh?
If I'm out of line, just say the word.
You're not out of line, Caden. But there are regs.
I get you, Shepard. I don't make a habit of complicating the chain of command. Just think about what I said.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Dr. Tassoni. She seems nice enough. I mean, if you like the bookish sort.
Any intentions there, Lieutenant?
None, Commander. I prefer adventurous women.
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
I've wasted enough of your time for now, Commander. We'll have time for personal debriefings later.
We'll talk later, Caden.
I'd like that.
Jó, Caden. Hát benézek akkor most Ashleyhez.
Liorával is beszél.
Az is beszél. Akkor ott van Chuckwass
Aha.
mögött?
Az orvosival még tovább lehet menni.
Chuckwass, miért nem szóltál, hogy itt van már te Bunko, Liara.
Commander, are you coming to check up on me?
Azért jött, hogy meglát. Nem!
You look much better. How are you feeling?
Dr. Chuckwass assures me I am going to be fine. I was impressed with her knowledge of Asari physiology.
Viszlát.
You're in good hands. Dr. Chuckwass knows what she's doing.
I never properly thanked you for saving me from the Geth, Commander. If you hadn't shown up,
I'm just glad we got there in time.
so am I. I know you took a chance bringing me aboard this ship. I have seen the way your crew looks at me. They do not trust me. But I am not like Benezia. I will do whatever I can to help you stop Saren. I promise.
Don't worry, Liara. I trust you. I know you won't let me down.
It means a lot to hear you say that, Commander. Thank you.
Do you know why Benezia joined up with Saren?
I don't understand it. She was always outspoken about the need for the Asari to become more involved in shaping galactic events. Maybe she thought allying herself with Saren would somehow be for the greater good in the long run. At least I hope so.
This hurts you, doesn't it?
None of this makes any sense to me. I have not spoken to Benezia in many years, but I know her, and this was not like her. Something changed.
Tell me about yourself, Liara.
Me? I am afraid I am not very interesting, Commander. I spend most of my time on remote digs, unearthing mundane items buried in long-forgotten Prothean ruins.
Sounds dangerous. And lonely.
Sometimes I would run afoul of indigenous life forms or stumble across a small band of mercenaries or privateers, but I was always careful. Until the Geth followed me to Artemis Tau. I never found myself in any situation my biotics could not handle. As for the solitude, well, that is one aspect that most appealed to me. Sometimes I just need to get away from other people.
You don't like other people?
I suppose it comes from being a matriarch's daughter. People expected me to follow in Benezia's footsteps. They wanted me to become a leader of our people. Matriarchs guide their followers into the future. They seek the truth of what is yet to come. Maybe that's why I became so interested in the secrets of the past. It sounds so foolish when I say it out loud. It sounds like I became an archaeologist simply to spite Benezia.
All children rebel against their parents. It's a natural part of growing up.
Aha, you share the wisdom of the matriarch, Shepard. That is exactly what Benezia said when I told her of my decision. But there was more to it than that. I felt drawn to the past. The Protheans were these wondrous, mysterious figures. I wanted to know everything about them. That is why I find you so fascinating. You were marked by the beacon on Eden Prime. You were touched by working Prothean technology.
Sounds like you want to dissect me in a lab somewhere.
What? No, I did not mean to insinuate. I never meant to offend you, Shepard. I only meant that you would be an interesting specimen for an in-depth study. No, that's even worse.
Calm down, Liara. I was only joking.
Joking? Oh, by the goddess, how could I be so dense?
Végigkérdeztem mindent Liaráról. 264
Now
XP.
you know why I prefer to spend my time in the field with
Mindjárt
data disks
szintet
and
lépek
computers.
megint le.
I always seem to say
Ajaj.
something embarrassing around other
Meg ne
people.
fagy, jaj.
Please, just pretend this conversation
Hirtelen
never
beszaggatott,
happened.
mikor kimentem a szobából.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species
Most
to
beszélek
discover the
Caidennel.
Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the council.
Akkor azt mondod, Caidennel vigyázni kell?
Hát, az már...
My people
Már
believe
kezdi
we are all part of the
nyomulni.
galactic community. Each species contributes something to the greater whole. Although we seek to
Személyes
understand
szarság
other
nem
species,
érdekel.
It seems few of them seek to
Nem
understand us.
hallgatom már.
The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
Like what?
Most of the inaccuracies are centered around our mating rituals. My species is monogendered. Male and female have no real meaning for us. We still require a partner to reproduce. This second parent, however, may be of any species and any gender.
I don't understand. Your species can mate with anyone?
Mating is not quite the proper term, not as you understand it. Physical contact may or may not be involved, but it is not an essential element of the union. The true connection is mental. Our physiology allows us to meld with other beings. We can touch the very depths of their minds.
Nem tudom, hogy hogy
We
kell.
explore the genetic memory of their species. We share the most basic elements of their individual and racial identities. We then pass these traits on to our daughters. It is how we learn to grow as a species and how we develop a greater understanding of other races.
What happens to your partner after the union?
Every relationship is different. Some unions are a single encounter with both parents parting ways afterwards. Others can be more long-term. Sometimes an Asari and her partner will stay together for many decades.
Do you know who Matriarch Benezia chose as her partner?
She rarely spoke of her partner. Though I know my father, if you want to use that term, was another Asari.
Benezia never told you her partner's name?
Union with our own kind is no longer common, not for the purposes of reproduction. Most Asari believe it weakens our species. Asari daughters inherit racial traits from the father species. If both parents are Asari, then nothing has been gained, or so conventional wisdom would hold. I am what is sometimes called a pureblood, though no Asari would ever be cruel enough to say the word to my face. It is a great insult among my people. It is possible Benezia's partner was embarrassed by their union. She may have been too ashamed to publicly acknowledge me as her offspring.
Maybe she wanted to meet you but couldn't. Something could have happened to her. Maybe she passed away.
You might be right. I hope you are. But I have no way to know for sure. Benezia never spoke of her partner. Whatever happened, it caused her too much pain to dwell on it. She raised me by herself, though that is not uncommon. Many Asari raise their children alone, particularly if the father species is short-lived. Often the partner will pass on long before the child reaches maturity.
You Asari live for 1,000 years. What happens when your partner dies?
Few sapient species live as long as my kind. We have learned to take a philosophical approach to our unions. We do not focus on the inevitable loss of our partners. Instead, we enjoy the time we spend with them. And even after they're gone, a part of them lives on in us. The union is a connection that transcends both time and space.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species to discover the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes. My people believe we are all part of a single galactic community. Each species contributes something to the greater whole. Although we seek to understand other species, it seems few of them seek to understand us. The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
Hát,
I should go.
Goodbye, Shepard.
és elbeszélgettem Liarácskával. Menjünk le is a még
Aha,
ahhoz Garushoz,
ott is
meg
mindenki.
többiekhez.
Tehát én most Kaidennel beszéltek, még egy pár érdekes dolgot itt elmesél.
Jó van. Szekrényem. Cust. Mit csináltok, fiúk? Fiúk, lányok, mit? Nézem, miket kaptam. Akkor még Rexikével is. Hát meg Tali. Fú, hát akkor Talihoz hozok popcorn. Elmondja. Liara. Liarának mit kell majd adni? Fegyvert?
Liarának... Szerintem ő is ilyen pisztolyos. Arany.
Pisztolyos?
Aha. Hát így a biotikusoknak ilyen... De majd megnézem én is, hogy van, és akkor...
Jó van.
És akkor valami jó pajzs, tehát neki is kell lesz jó erős, mert ő viszont csak izét tud használni. Könnyű páncélt. Végig. Nagyon erős könnyű páncélt kell lesz neki adni. Most Rex-sel beszélget.
So, we've got Saren on the run.
It won't be long now. Saren's good, but I'm better.
Good. He's rotten. To the core. I could tell as soon as I met him.
Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I would have if I thought it was important.
I think I'd like to hear about it just the same.
This was a while ago. A bunch of mercs were bragging about a job out near the edges of the Terminus systems. They said it paid well and the boss was never around to ride them. They said he was looking for more men, too. So I checked it out.
I didn't know Saren was openly recruiting mercs.
It wasn't that open, and he only showed his face once. We'd been raiding ships in the area for months when we took out this massive cargo freighter. Our biggest haul yet. I was on board checking bodies for valuables, looking for some extra credits. That's when I saw him.
Kivel beszélgetsz most?
I don't know what he wanted. He was just moving through the ship, watching. A couple of the mercs called him by name, but he never spoke to them. Never spoke to anyone. I had a really bad feeling about him, so I got the hell out. Didn't even wait to get paid.
What kind of cargo was the freighter carrying? What was Saren after?
I don't know. All I saw on that ship was food and medical supplies. There were some basic weapons, but nothing big. If there was anything of value on that ship, I didn't see it. That's why I didn't mention it sooner.
Whose ship was it?
There was a Volus trading vessel. Big one. Lots of guards. But they were no match for us.
That's the only time you saw him?
Yeah. Didn't even know who he was. Still wouldn't if I hadn't joined up with you. But my instincts were right. Every other
Na,
merc on
akkor
that
Liara
mission
felszerelését is
turned up dead
átnézem.
within a week.
Hát van valami jónak.
Damn one.
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. We're too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
Ez a... Kihal majd a fajod, ez ugyanaz, amit már elmondott egyszer, nem?
Aha. Hát már beszélgettünk vele izéről.
So long, Rex.
Akkor ezt már nem hallgatom meg.
Génfalóról.
Ashley?
What's your opinion of the last mission?
Not sure I buy Dr. Tassoni's story.
Hát ha beszélhetünk, az a személyes beszélgetést indítja el, ahogy vagyunk, meg azt, hogy mit gondol.
I think she's being straight with us. Or at least I don't think she lies very often.
Yeah, she's probably really bad at it. Hey, want me to ask her about her sex life? Might be illuminating.
I don't think she's used to teasing, good-natured or otherwise.
No fun, Commander. Too bad those ruins got destroyed. I mean, they lasted thousands of years.
A férfi se földre rólam beszélt, mikor izével voltam.
Talk, one-on-one?
Sure. I was just watching some mail from home.
Oh, before I go, we saw Kaden in a news vid about the Normandy.
Bővebben is végigkérdezem az egész családját.
Let's pretend this never happened.
Are you interested in the lieutenant, Chief?
No, ma'am. And anyway, Scuttlebutt says he's already sweet on someone. What's up? You didn't come by to eavesdrop on family mail.
Your family seems to be important to you.
Yeah, we've always been close. Me and my sisters especially. With Dad on duty so much, I had to help Mom raise them.
Did your father serve with the fleet?
Yeah, took any crap posting he could get that offered space time. You know what? He worked his ass off trying to get recognized, but he never made it above serviceman 3rd class. He was real proud when I made Chief. First thing he did was salute.
What about your mother? You haven't mentioned her.
You must know what military wives are like. Strong because they have to be, able to raise kids while Dad's away on a 6-month cruise. She has a degree in planetary geology. She and Dad both wanted to see new worlds. She gave up her career to raise us, though.
You have more than one sister? Sounds like a big family.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, then Abby, then Lynn. Sarah's the youngest. She's still in high school. With 4 girls, Dad used to say he felt more outnumbered at home than on maneuvers.
Where did you grow up?
All over. Same as you, I expect. We transferred a half a dozen times before I finished grade school. You go where personnel command sends you, right? I guess that's why I'm so tight with my sisters. We'd have to leave all our friends every 2 or 3 years.
I was an only child, but I get the idea. At least one of my parents was always on duty.
Yeah, military families, eh? With schedules like that, it's a wonder we ever have kids anymore. Things were tense between Sarah and me for a while. Then we bonded.
Sounds like a story. Feel like sharing?
Sarah got herself a boyfriend who wanted to go faster than she did, Mike. I didn't think he was a bad kid, just pushy. Lynn would send me these worried vid mails, and I'd tell her to relax.
Where were you when this was going on?
I was on active duty. Sarah's graduating high school this year. This was only a couple of years back. They were on Amaterasu. At the time, I was assigned to Chernobog. Same cluster, but a dozen Hellwire away. Close enough to talk regularly, too far to make it back in an emergency. I couldn't afford a fast packet flight.
If he really liked her, he wouldn't be pushy.
Yeah, of course. If he didn't ask at all, I'd wonder if he thought Sarah was ugly. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Mike thought they'd go for a romantic walk in the woods, because he figured it was past time they did the deed. She levered Mike face first into a tree and left. Didn't have a scratch on her. Good thing Mom and Dad had us all learn some kind of self-defense. I took emergency leave and walked Sarah to school for a few days.
Why didn't you tell the police?
She said it wouldn't solve the real problem, and she and Mike would both become household names. It was a small colony. I said it was her call to make, that we should let her do it her way. Mom was pretty pissed about that.
You said all of your sisters learned self-defense?
Lynn did pistol practice, but didn't like it. She's kind of nervous. Sarah took Aikido. Abby decided to learn the sword. She always was a little weird. Likes big skirts and tops you have to tie her into. They do great things to her figure, though.
So, what did you learn?
One of Dad's friends taught me Marine hand to hand.
You said all of your sisters learned self-defense?
Lynn did Abby, they do great things to her figure, though.
You traveled all the way home to walk your sister to school.
It was only a dozen light years, like a day's cruise. It's not like I was going to Earth or something. My last day out, Mike was waiting for us. Sarah had told her friends, so everyone at school knew what he did. He wasn't happy. I wanted to snap him in half, but Sarah gave me this look, this let me handle it, I need to do this alone look. She kept her cool, God bless her, as he screamed in her face. She just let him vent. Then he tried to punch her. I swear, she just flowed around him. Next thing I knew, he's face down on the sidewalk, and there's blood everywhere.
That's unbelievable. Sarah must be as good as you.
Better. I'm more or less a straight-up puncher. When he swung, she wasn't there anymore, and he fell. She helped him stop the bleeding and had me call an ambulance. She told the paramedics he fell. Before they took him to the hospital, Mike touched Sarah's arm. I thought he was going to end up on the ground again. But he hung his head, whispered, "I'm sorry," and started crying. And she hugged him. The Williams women are a decisive bunch, Commander. We do things when we're ready. Not before, not after.
Your sister's something else. But you didn't mention your father at all. Was he on deployment?
Dad always wanted to serve in space, but he wanted us to have real ground under our feet. He'd say, space is beautiful, but you can't raise a family there. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I've enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone. For always roaming with a hungry heart, much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments.
I never thought I'd hear you reciting poetry.
Just because I can tell you between the eyes at 100 meters doesn't mean I can't like sensitive stuff.
Hol tartasz a beszélgetést?
Ulysses was my dad's favorite.
Most derült ki Ashleyről, hogy olvas verseket.
He had a dozen versions when he retired.
Does he still like it?
I sure hope so. I read it to his grave every time I go home. Dad passed on a few years back. He's probably still watching, though.
You mean from wherever we go after death?
Hogy vagyunk?
Dead on, Skipper. He's with God now. That's not a problem with you, is it? That I believe in God?
You know that old saw, there's never an atheist in a foxhole? Well, I've been in a lot of foxholes.
Yeah, I guess you have. I've met a few people who are really weirded out by my faith. Because I work in space, I can't believe in a higher power? Jeez. Hello, have you people looked out the window? How can you look at this galaxy and not believe in something? I should get back to my duties. Didn't mean to take up so much of your time.
Dismissed, Chief.
Ma'am.
Beszélgettem ezzel is. Mi a helyzet?
How are you?
Why did you want to be a
És közben XP-t is kapunk.
That's a good question. There were several reasons, I
Hogy
guess.
van?
Like what?
Probably the same as most officers. I wanted to fight injustice, wanted to help people. I guess my father had something to do with it too. He was CSEC, one of the best. I grew up hearing about his accomplishments or seeing his picture on the vids after a big arrest. He's taking my resignation pretty hard.
He's not impressed that you're going after Saren?
My father's a CSEC man to the bone. Do things right or don't do them at all, he says. He thinks I'm being too rash, too impatient. He's worried I'll become just like Saren. He actually talked me out of becoming a Spectre when I was younger, for the same reasons.
You were asked to be a Spectre?
Well, I was targeted as a possible Spectre candidate. Me and about 1,000 other Turian military recruits. I could have received special training, but my father didn't like it. He despises the Spectres. He hates the idea of someone having unlimited power with no accountability. He wouldn't like you, Commander. No offense.
I suppose I can understand his concern.
You can. But Saren's not gonna play by our rules, C-Sec's rules. If you want to nail Saren, you need to send someone who isn't restricted by policies and procedures.
Just because you can break the rules doesn't mean you should. I don't need to stoop to Saren's level to stop him. And neither do you, Garrus.
I see what you mean, but I'll think about it. Thanks, Commander.
Úgy legyen. Na. Szövetségi beszerző tiszt. A mérnök mond valami újat, vagy csak Talival dumálja?
Talival, nem mond senki más újat. Jó, emlékszem.
Shepard, I need to talk to you.
Nézzük meg, ennek a szövetségi beszerző tisztnél van-e armor.
Jó, várjál, mert odajöttem Talihoz, és akkor Shepard beszélnem kell magával.
Hát jó, beszélgess vele. Én nem látok új izét, nekem nem mondtak még semmi jó. Itt nem is fog szerintem. Nem valami nagy szám ez a beszerző tiszt. Na beszélgessünk Talival akkor, és adjuk oda neki a cuccot.
It could be the key to helping us reclaim our homeworld.
If I give you this data, your pilgrimage is over. You'll go back to your own people.
Not right away. I'll stay with you as long as it takes to stop Saren. But my people need this.
You think you can use this information to destroy your enemy?
Not right away. We will need to study it. It could take years, but it will give us new insight into how the Geth have changed and evolved over the past centuries.
Go ahead, make a copy.
My people, I owe you a great debt, one I can never repay. The only thing I can offer in return is what you already have. My solemn promise to stay with you until Saren and his Geth armies are defeated.
I never wanted anything more.
Thank you, Shepard.
No, odaadtam neki.
Aha, én is.
Még beszélgessünk vele, vagy ennyi most elég?
Szerintem még mond valamit.
Még mond.
Aha.
Hello, Shepard. Aha, elég lehangolt.
És jó sok XP-t adott most. Mert lehet azért, mert feladat volt az izé.
Especially your chief engineer. But I just sort of feel out of place. The Normandy runs so smooth it feels like we're not even moving. And the engines are so quiet. How do you sleep at night?
The silence wakes you up?
Back on the flotilla, the last thing you want to hear is silence. It means an engine's died or an air.
Túlságosan csendben.
I guess you don't have to worry about that here. But old habits die hard.
Jobban szeretek gép hangjára elaludni.
More than just the silence. This ship feels so empty. It's like half the crew is missing.
Én meg a csendet.
Back home, I couldn't wait to go on my pilgrimage. I couldn't wait to get away from the crowds. Now that I'm out here, I kind of miss them.
Sometimes we don't appreciate it until it's gone.
That's true. I'm starting to wonder if that's what the pilgrimage is really about. It's given me a whole new perspective on my people and our culture. You know, there's always a few who go on their pilgrimages and never return. I always assumed something bad happened to them. But maybe they just wanted a different life.
You do plan to return to the migrant fleet, right?
I could never abandon my people, Shepard. I will go back eventually. But we have to stop Saren first. Otherwise, I might not have a home to go back to.
Tell me about your people.
Our lives aren't easy. Resources are scarce, and we are constantly...
Ah, tehát ez már...
Bővebben azt már kikérdeztük mindet, ott nem lesz.
Like what?
Kvarjánok, getek, zarándoklat, ezt már múltkor megkérdeztük. Hát akkor... Cső.
See you later.
Something I can do for you, Commander.
Where else have you served, Adams?
You name a class of Alliance ship, I probably served on it. Dreadnoughts and carriers, right down to frigates.
Azt hiszem megvan mindenki.
My last assignment
most
was
már fel kell szerelni őket, hogyha van új. Megnézem a felszerelésüket mindenkinek.
Carry on, Adams.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Hogy is megyek. De szerintem most nagyon új nem volt. Aztán el is adom őket, mert lesz itt majd másik is. Tali'Zorahnak a pisztolyt.
Hát igen, a biotikusok általában. Itt még nincsen SMG, az a baj. És szerintem itt a pisztoly a legjobb neki. Vagy lehet, hogy mindent tud használni, nem tudom. Majd megnézem a képességét, csak most itt nem tudjuk megnézni, majd csak játék. Tehát leszállás közben. Következőnek Tali'Zorah-t visszük valahova. Hogy elosszuk a pontjait. Tali'Zorah amúgy nagyon jó így harcban, tehát így biotikája.
Most hullám, visszatöltés, keményítés. Ez jó neked, Garus. Garusnak volt egy fasz a kis pajzs. Ezüst hát.
Ezüst hát. Az igen.
34, 228, meg 20. Jó. Egyre az. Jó. Marad. Kédennek mi volt? Kéden is pisztolyos, ugye?
Aha.
Hát adod annak is egy. Ez puska. Nem pisztoly, nem puska. Akkor ennyi. Többit meg eladom a francba.
Looking for supplies?
Let's see what you got.
Igen.
You bet, Commander.
Eladás. Ja, ez marad. Akkor vissza a fedélzetre.
Hát Tali'Zorahnak nem tudok adni semmi páncélt, meg még Talinak se.
Nekem volt Tali'Zorahnak egy páncél, ezt eladtam. Aztán azzal hadd szóljon.
Bakker.